through the entire teaching of the 4 dysfunctions of a small group leader. What do you hope our audience walks away with or has gleaned from this teaching?
Man, I hope our audience understands everything breaks down. A small group breaking down does not mean that we have failed. Not trying to fix a broken small group means we have failed. We cannot control other people rejecting the cup that we pour out. We just can't. People are going to reject whatever they want to that we say. What we can control is we are the ones who pour out our cup no matter what. Let's not be the servant with the talent who did nothing that Jesus talks about. Let's get up and let's try to do it better. That's what I hope they would take away.
It is so good to get to make this happen and be with you, Jonathan. I hope you're doing well on this, what is probably a warm and humid Texas day, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, man, it's nice. Close to 80 degrees. Good day.
That's awesome. So looking at this topic of avoidance of accountability, I wanted to go ahead and ask you, did your small group leader keep you accountable and have tough conversations with you? And if so, how did that affect you?
So, to answer your question, I would say that my small group leader definitely did. He had tough conversations, but it was really only whenever it was absolutely necessary. If it was like growing stuff or like wisdom stuff, like there's a difference, that whole thing about like, obedience is digital and wisdom is analog. So like obedience is either on or off. And then wisdom is something that you learn as you go along. I feel like he did a really good job of like understanding, kind of differentiating between the two. I remember one time I was at his house. It was Daniel's house. It was like, we call him Papa Daniel. And we were at Daniel's house, and we were going to go to an REI garage sale. And there was this book that I wanted to read that he had, and it was by Gordon Olson, and it was like this really cool book, and only Daniel had it, and there was no way, I didn't think that I could ever get it or whatever. And I remember, like, I asked him, there were other people around, there were other guys there.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, can I borrow this book tonight to read at the garage sale? And he told me no. And to my absolute shame, I took it. And I didn't think that it was a big deal. I took it, and then I remember I brought it back, and I kind of acted like it was no big deal. And I remember, I think it was on the phone, I remember he let me have it. He was like, that was really foolish and disobedient, and like, you should not have done that. Don't you? And basically he told me, like, don't you ever do that again. What I realized was that it was this issue of obedience, and also it wasn't just a personal offense that he had. It was like, it was something that he was saying, look, you didn't think this was a big deal, but this is actually a huge deal for your future. And so I think that's like a key thing is like, I've been around people that just correct people all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever been around dudes like that? How does it make you feel?
Like I don't know what is right. I just know everything that's wrong in the world.
Exactly. Like you literally are just like, dude, you're always walking on eggshells. It's just awful. But whenever somebody, I think that those conversations are for somebody that really has your heart. Like Daniel really cared about my future. That's what he was saying. And he was quick to follow it up with, I love you. You're a man of God. Like you're my best friend. I mean, basically, I was broken, and he was like, and I forgive you. Like, but it was a very sharp, direct correction.
So how do we discern, or how do we know the things we need to bring up with our disciples and have a more proactive conversation about? And in looking at that, I've heard Eli Stewart say before, we need to use a scalpel and not a machete when we go in to talk to someone about something they need to either change or cut out of their life. What are your thoughts on that? And are there possible dangers in just going in guns a-blazing, doing kind of what you talked about, like always correcting at everything you see?
I would totally agree that the scalpel is definitely, if you don't go in delicately, and if it's not coupled with a lot of encouragement and belief, then there can be a temptation to I mean, there can be like you can really lose somebody's heart in a pretty for real way. I usually only correct or bring something up if I think that it's going to spread in their character, and if it's going to damage their future. You want to get it in your head that you're trying to protect this person's future. That's what you're like we always say, like, you're looking after this person's future, not their feelings.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, hey, like, we really need to, like, be grateful for this person. We don't need to be looking down on this person. This is not good. Like, because if we get ungrateful, we could be independent. And this guy was like, you mean I could be independent? I said, yeah. I said, you could, and so could I. So we can't go there. And oh, okay. And you don't want to be so afraid to say something, especially when it comes